And I thought uh, I'll go ahead with a question that I marked to ask you later. Now, I mean, the regional folklore, especially if when it comes to mythology, how do you think the impact of it, knowing the stories? Now, for example, you very correctly said that Ravana is considered a villain in one part of the world, whereas you come to a country like Sri Lanka, where the Sri Lankan, especially the younger generation, praise him and believe him, and basically he's a legendary hero of the newer generation, and there's so much of arts created to honor him. So how important it is to know the regional stories, regional connection with the mythology, how important it is when you are making a book.
I think it's very important to be respectful from all ends. I think what problem occurs is that we have to make sure that all parts of the world are covered when you are writing something, because as you rightly put in, probably the northern part of the world might have a very different perspective from the southern part of the world of the same mythology which is out there existing. So definitely where I kind of come into play is that I make sure that whatever I'm writing is, it I kind of does justice to every part of the world, and it's more of a universal story rather than just a localized story for me.
Right. So this question is about your characters. Do you have any bias towards any characters, for example, between Arjun and Kalki? Or do you try to give like an in-depth character building irrespective of who it is?
No, I give character building irrespective of who it is. I really don't, kind of just because that person is my protagonist or that person is my antagonist, I don't try to, be biased towards it. I am very, very open about, I kind of try to build each character the way it is, because otherwise you are not able to give a fully fleshed out story to the audience and to the readers.
Right. So what is the role of the interpersonal relationship, I mean, in your own life that help to bring the story to life? For example, the relationship between Kalki and Lakshmi. I mean, how did your own interpersonal relationships were represented in this? Or how did it help you?
My interpersonal relationships with other people, right?
I'm sorry?
My interpersonal relationships with other people.
Yes, yes.
Uh, I don't think so. There was ever an issue with my with. I mean, in terms of definitely a lot of the characters which I write about is definitely inspired from someone or the other. And it does come from the relationships that I have. Like for instance, the Kalki and the Arjun story is very much akin to the kind of brotherhood and love I have with me and my cousin brother Ryan. And I've tried to involve and incorporate these kind of Kalki's relationship with probably his father or his mother is very much similar to what I have in relationship with my parents as well. So definitely, somewhere or the other, there's a with writers, there's always truth in fiction. So that's I think that's always going to be there, regardless of how much we try to fictionalize it.
Well, that's true. So the other question also is on the same line. Now it's with regards to Kalki and Dwarki, the sister. So did you by any chance try to relate to any sibling relationship when you are building this character?
No, absolutely, absolutely. Drukti and Kali's relationship, Drukti and Kalki's relationship. Um, I definitely took inspiration a lot from the people around me, the relationship that I held with my sisters as well, and I have seen my friends having with their sisters and brothers as well. So definitely that came out. See, with writers, the thing is you don't know what inspires you. Sometimes you end up writing something, then you realize, oh yeah, you know what, that is, that particular thing inspired me to write this. So these things, these are very these are things which I myself, I don't do it consciously. but somewhere or the other, some connection is made because I experienced that myself.
So the for any hero to win a battle and to reach his destiny, you need to have a a band of friends. Now you have a very different characters as the band of friends, like very loyal ones, but at the same time they are on pole opposite with pole opposite characteristics. So how did you put this very uncommon band together, and what were the common things that feature them that you could make a link between them?
I was always a big fan of uh, character stories. So when you look at if you look at Star Wars, you look at Lord of the Rings, you look at all these character stories. They have these big plots, but they're also driven by characters, and they all are together working for a singular objective. So that is what I also wanted to do with Kalki, is that I wanted to have a different variety of people working together and kind of towards the singular objective. I grew up watching these stories. I wanted the next generation of readers to also grow up watching these stories because they're fun and they kind of show what unity does. What how collectiveness helps. I'll just give you another example as well. In my company, my business development team, used to work in a very individual level basis because they all had their different commission models. I made their commission model same for everyone. Now they started helping each other out and our business grew 33-50% higher. So what I'm trying to say basically in short is that if I wouldn't have learned these from the stories that I grew up reading, I wouldn't have probably been able to put this, because this is not something I read in any management book or anything. I'm not from a MBA background or from any other background. My only MBA has been stories that I grew up reading. so and that is what I implemented in my company as well.
Well, it's a lifelong lesson. So next one is about the phase of the flow. Now, you need to keep the integrity at the same time, the intensity, because the wars break out, problems happen. So do you keep your intensity at a very high speed, or you give breaks for the readers to catch up? Or do you think that it's really important for a mythological hero's journey to be like on a flow, on ascending?
I think the flow of a book should be like a river. Sometimes fast, sometimes so slow, sometimes still, sometimes going really, really quick. I don't believe in a crescendo. I don't believe that it goes like this. I think you have to give some pauses in between. I think sometimes you have to quicken it. What really helps me is the music. So I listen to music while I'm writing. So whenever I'm writing an action scene, for instance, I listen to a very fast action, fast music, very action-packed music. If I'm writing a very emotional scene, I listen to a very emotional music. So that kind of like helps me to stay in a very, regulated beat.
Right. But I mean, the thing is, like, when it is a journey towards defeating a villain, for example, uh, people would love to see the intense moment, like continued up to a greater level. But you somehow make a strike between giving them a balance with a break.
Absolutely. Balance is the key to life's happiness.
Right. Next one is about now this is a trilogy. So basically you have 3 books, and how do you keep your readers hooked to your books? Because they read one and then you also have to keep them on something that they need to jump into the next book and the next book. So what is your secret? How do you do that? What's the method you use in keeping them on a roll?
Cliffhangers. Cliffhangers. You end the book with a twist and something for more to come. So I firmly believe that the book should start with a question and should not answer it by the end of it, and let the answer be in the next book.
So now that your readers will know. So Kevin, these books, can it be read as a standalone, or it has to be read as a trilogy to get the whole picture?
I do have a story so far in the books, uh, because the story so far, it kind of just encapsulates everything that happened in the earlier books. You really don't have to read it, but obviously to understand and to enjoy the gravitas of the story, definitely you need to read the entire series.
Right. Now, the next question is about the usual evil versus good battle, and we have been fed this idea that evil has to be vanquished from the earth. It has to be fought. There's no goodness in the evil characters at all. So, do you challenge this concept? Do you see that there's some good in everybody, and what is your perception of this, and what is your message that you try to give in your book? Or do you believe
I
that
think
people who commit evil or in that side of the realm, they have a chance to cross over or make themselves better?
I think we all have good in us. We all have bad in us. To some, we might be the best of friends and the best of people. To some, we might be the worst of people. I think that's the curse of being a human. And I think one has to only realize that to be a good person is to make sure that the good triumphs over evil. So absolutely, that should be the entire objective. And that's the story of Kalki as well.
So you challenge the conventional idea of good and bad.
Yeah,
And what is the moral message of the series? Like, other than the fact that good will always come on top. Like, for example, courage, uh, determination. What are the moral messages that you try to bring out as core
my
messages?
message is very clear. I do not. I always my message is to choose to do right. Choose what's right. I think unfortunately people don't realize that they only think about themselves. I think one has to realize what is right for the humanity, for the society, and to do what's right according to them.
So I think there's so much of political readings in your book, irrespective of it being a mythology. So, did you face any resistance from religiously, culturally, politically motivated groups? Because you live in a very diverse country, and the world itself is so diverse. So, what was the outcome of was there any such resistance, or how did you face it?
So I never faced with it because I was always very respectful towards what I was writing. I think you only face resistance if you respect what you're writing and whatever you are writing, not just on Hindu myths. If I write for any other religion also, definitely there's always going to be resistance. Um, I think you have to be respectful, and that's why I never faced any resistance.
And you yourself has a very mixed background, if I'm not mistaken. So was it a help in seeing the world in a different manner?
Definitely, it does. Definitely does help to have a very objective leaning towards particular text. Uh, since I come from a very historian background, in terms of I was graduated in history, look at it from a very history perspective to see both sides to kind of understand, uh, what is the truth and what is not. And very objectively, I look at things rather than subjectively.
Right. So India has a lot of textures and books that has been written in the ancient times, like from Mahabharata onwards. So what were the books that you referred to or inspired? You got inspiration from, and What do you think about those books and that of the productions of the West?
Obviously, my inspiration has been Mahabharata. My inspiration has been Ramayana. My inspiration has been Shiv Puran, Kalki Puran, Matsya Puran. Mostly Purans out there. They're great readings for me. Uh, I think, but most of all has been that when I was growing up, I used to read a lot of Percy Jackson as well, in terms of as a fantasy reading, and I used to read a lot of fantasy books growing up. Um, I kind of realized that there's a huge scope in India as well for the same, and that's why I kind of brought the myths of this world of our country and kind of gave a very fantastical view to it.
See, now we are living in challenging and changing times, and especially when India is taking up on a different spot in the global arena. So, as a writer, how do you plan to bring your country's history and its majorly great heritage into literature? Because what we always see and what we have seen is through corporate media and all the Western publications, like they make heroes out of characters that they have probably got inspired from the East. So what is you as a young writer? How do you plan to contribute towards keeping India's footprint in the global arena with regards to your experience in this literature?
I'm working on this book called The Demon King. That's definitely exactly what I want to do. I want to bring the Indian myths and the folklore, not even just Indian myths, South Asian myths. There's a lot of in the Demon King. It's a lot of it is from the myths of Sri Lanka as well. I was very inspired from the entire history of Sri Lanka, and I added that also. So from the South Asian myths as well. I'm creating a media franchise. I'm creating a book series called The Demon King, and hopefully, you might hear a lot more about it and my take for the global forum uh, down few months, hopefully. So let's see.
That's great news. So, if I'm not mistaken, you also have this literary project that you try to bring the new authors to. You're trying to find them a place for publication. So, do you plan to reach out to other regional countries, especially like places like Sri Lanka, where there's a big talent pool, but there's little global scope? What is your idea about that?
Absolutely. And if any prospective writer, writer who's looking for a publishing, definitely if they want to reach out, me and my publishing house, the New Voice Press is there. We're partnered up with Simon & Schuster India. We are, you wouldn't believe we are almost doing 25 books our first year. And, our objective is to do double or triple the size from next year onwards. We are looking for new voices, especially we are not interested to publish old authors, boring authors, like myself also. I want new voices. That's why it's called New Voice Press as well. Our entire objective was that a lot of good stories are getting unnoticed. And we want to bring that to the global audiences. We work with authors from Dubai, from UK, from US, all Indian writers who are living there, who want to have who want to have a footprint in Asia. We do that. Definitely, that's the objective.
That's great news. I think there's such a big talent pool, especially in this part of the world, that would like to reach out to the global audience. And I'm sure with your help, they could make this link. So this is why it's important to have cross-cultural exposure of this type. So I have two more questions before winding up. Would you like to give any heads up with your future projects? What is coming? What's your gift for your readership? Are you planning to give them any good news?
November 7th, watch out for Krishna, the Mahavishnu avatar.
So that's can you repeat that, because I think it's very important to press on the message.
Next chapter, Krishna, the Mahavishnu avatar, the story of Krishna in the last chapter of from the last chapter of Mahabharata. What happened to Krishna after the Mahabharata ended? That's the
There you
story.
heard it. So it's your chance, and you heard it from Kevin himself. That's great news. So the last question, Kevin, what would be your message for the Sri Lankan readership? First of all, I mean, it was amazing to see that, including my little nephew, including adults, there's so many people who read Kalki with so much of adoration. So it's a great thing, and I was shocked to see that. So what's your message for the readership? First question. And to wind it up, what is your message for the up and coming writers of Sri Lanka?
My message to readers of Sri Lanka: keep reading my books. I keep supporting. Keep enjoying them. I'm very excited that Kalki was translated into Sinhalese language, and it is being promoted there by Muses Publication. And in terms of any tips, any advice to writers from Sri Lanka, reach out to New Voice Press, and I'm sure you will not regret it.
Well, New Voice Press is the way that they can reach out to the global audience. So today we spoke to Kevin. It was such a pleasure, and I'm so privileged that you broke the news of your next up and coming project. And I'm not too sure whether you have visited Sri Lanka as yet, but I think you should consider coming here to to get an idea about the folklore, the people, and you have a big readership here.
Soon. Very excited to be there soon.
So thank you, Kevin. We wish you all the very best and good luck for your next projects. And
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
bye. And I would make this opportunity also